We need to bless him. I'll tell Mr. Beard I want him to come one night and pray for the women of prayer.
We'll go ahead and begin our meeting. This is the first meeting of 2020, so welcome to all. We're going to begin with invocation by Melissa Glenn, and I'll lead us in the pledge. Please rise.
Thank you. God, we just want to say thank you so much for your faithfulness. God, as we look back in this last year, all the things that you've brought our city through and brought us through individually, God, we're just grateful. God, we look forward to what you're going to do in this new year. God, we thank you for the development, the dreams, the visions that are in our directors and our managers and mayors' hearts for this new year. We just ask for wisdom and clarity as they go through every agenda item. We ask for peace in their families and protection on their minds and bodies. God, we ask that your name would be exalted in our city and that we'd always honor you. We thank you that you are closer than a brother. God, that you're faithful, that you're steadfast, that you never fail. And we just look to you, God. You are so wise, and we trust you for your leadership. In the name of Jesus, amen.
Amen.
Please join me in the pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll call this meeting to order. Please call the roll.
Director Holliday.
Here.
Jones.
Here.
Clark.
Here.
Weatherford.
Here.
Garcia.
Here.
Foley.
Here.
Mayor McCabe.
Here. This time we'll consider the approval of the agenda. Are there any additions, deletions, or corrections to the agenda as presented?
Mayor, there is one item that came to us late that we would ask that the board amend the agenda to add. It would be a resolution authorizing the city to enter into a memorandum of understanding with CHI St. Vincent's that's related to their 340B program. We have members from the hospital that will speak to that should it be added to the agenda at its appropriate time.
So moved. Very good. So we have a motion by Director Foley, seconded by Director Garcia to amend the agenda. Any discussion?
Mayor, for convenience, I guess it would be the first item under new business.
New business, right. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Now we'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda as amended. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
So moved.
Director
Second.
Garcia, seconded by Director Clark. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Agenda has been amended. Now we'll consider approval of the minutes of the regularly scheduled meeting of December 17, 2019. Any additions, deletions, or corrections to those minutes as presented? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Mayor, so move.
Director Jones,
Second.
seconded by Director Weatherford. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion minutes are approved. Recognition of guests. Ms. Mary Zunick, Executive Director of the Sister City Program, is going to come forward and give us an update.
Yes, good evening. Thank you so much for letting me have just a couple of minutes of your time for a Sister City update. We finished off 2019 great with our first ever baseball exchange between Hanamaki Higashi High School and Hot Springs players, and we had a huge turnout, wonderful support. It took place December 7th here in Hot Springs and was just the beautiful beginning for hopefully a lot of other future exchanges. We had a substantial number of students apply, and 10 students were selected to represent Hot Springs in traveling to Hanamaki the first week in June this summer. So our student delegation is all set. We'll be raising funds for them at the Cherry Blossom Festival, celebration of Japanese culture, which will take place on March 7th of this year. Applications are due today for teachers willing to go, seeking to represent Garland County schools with a trip to Japan, the beginning of June. Those are our educational exchanges. They're all taking place in June this year because of the Olympics happening in Tokyo, when the teachers usually go. Airfares were a little bit more, and they're kind of busy in Japan this year in July. So they're all going in June. And great response to both of those programs. And as all of you know, our Sister City program is made up not only from the support of the city directors, Visit Hot Springs, and our connection between our cities. It's also the Sister City Foundation, which is the nonprofit portion of the Sister City program, which makes programs like the student delegations and the teacher scholarships possible. They also provide volunteer support, and that's made up of the Sister City Foundation and the Sister City Board of Directors, the Sister City Foundation Board of Directors. And so this year, we have kind of a monumental shift in our leadership. We have a member of our board of directors ending her term of president. And I would just like to take a moment this evening and recognize Carla Mouton. Carla, would you please come up here? Carla Mouton joined the Sister City Foundation Board of Directors in 2009. She became board chair in 2011. So that means she has seen us through two very substantial anniversaries, the 20th anniversary and the 25th anniversary. And those don't just happen. They take a lot of work. During her time on the Sister City Board, we've sent about 120 students to Japan, representing Hot Springs, not to mention those that the foundation has welcomed visiting here from our sister city. We've also sent about 30 Garland County educators to Hanamaki for educational exchange. They have come back, and just as Carla did in the classroom, they've shared their experiences that they gathered from their educational exchange there. Thousands of dollars in scholarships have been raised by the foundation under her leadership that helped make that possible. So I would like to just recognize Carla with a certificate from the Sister City International, recognizing her leadership in the Sister City program here in Hot Springs. Thank you for a little bit of your
Carla,
time.
would you like to make a comment, brief? Thank you. You can pull the mic down.
Excuse me.
You're fine.
I'm a little overwhelmed. I didn't expect this. I thought I was here supporting Mary and what she was going to tell you all. It's been a great trip, a great honor. I'm still going to stay on the board, but it was time to pass this torch to someone else. I do want to thank you all so very deeply for all that you have done to support this. It is a Sister City program, not the foundation and people who go to Japan. It's a Sister City exchange, and you have embraced that, you have supported it, and I know you will continue to do so, and for that we are eternally grateful. Thank you so very much. And by the way, it's all Mary Zunick who makes all of this happen. She is very, very modest sometimes, but without Mary, nothing that she listed would have happened. So thank you for Mary as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other guests that the board members would like to have recognized? Hearing none, we'll move on to the city manager's report from Mr. Bill Burrow, our city manager.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the board. We're busy closing out 2019, trying to jumpstart 2020, and all the projects that we have ongoing, as well as those that we'll be initiating very soon. I am so pleased to report to the board and to introduce a gentleman tonight that through really a nationwide search with myself, Minnie Lennox, Lance Spicer, and Brian Albright serving on an interview committee. We made a hire, and he started yesterday, and I'd like to introduce Kevin Brownlee as our deputy city manager. Kevin, you're going to speak in just a minute. Kevin brings to the city 25 years of experience, with the last 10 as the executive officer of the South Central Arkansas Electric Cooperative out of Arkadelphia. During the 10 years that he served that particular co-op, he lived in Hot Springs, and his wife, Kathy, and 2 children, Bryce and Meredith, they all still live here in the city. Kevin earned his Bachelor of Science degree in Accounting and Finance from Charleston Southern University in Charleston, South Carolina. and a Master of Business Admin from Winthrop University in Rock Hill, South Carolina. So very pleased to have Kevin on board. We spent a lot of time in the last couple of days and really looking forward to transitioning some of the departments that will be reporting directly to Kevin. For those that may not know, I mean, this is a big position. It has our utilities, both water, wastewater, our utility billing and customer service, our public works, which is street, traffic, urban forestry, property maintenance, stormwater, as well as our parks and trails and our sports recreation. So pretty big net to cast, and I'm looking forward to working with you for quite some time. So, Kevin, you'd like to say anything to the board?
It's an honor to be here and be working for the town that I live in. And I look forward to working with you to make this a better place.
Yes,
Thank you.
Welcome.
A couple other announcements. Cornerstone, we're starting to get some phone calls on our Cornerstone tank. We've got a crew that'll be here next Monday that will be, I guess, mobilizing to the site. They plan to start lifting the tank either on the 16th or the 17th. It's going to be an all-day process. It's probably going to take 6 to 8 hours. If I remember correctly, Todd, we're going to have somewhere around 16 or 18 hydraulic jacks, and the tank comes up 8 inches at a time. So, the whole goal is to get it up in the air, fill it with water, and hope it stays up. It will. It will.
And the water stays there.
We're looking forward to that, and I know some others have been calling, wanting to know when that's going to take place. So, I've said this before. The last tank aerial tank that we built was back in the '60s. It's been 50 years since we've been able to reach this milestone. It will add about 3 million gallons to our storage, which is getting us very close to that average that we need to hit. So we're excited about that. And Aaron, he's not here with us tonight. Aaron Street, our public information director, as well as Katie Yamauchi. After nearly 6 months of behind-the-scenes work with public information and Civic Plus, the city's new website has been launched. They launched that on December the 19th. The new cityhs.net homepage was totally revamped, and the interior page design was updated. It's much more modern. It's much more mobile friendly, so you can get there from your mobile device. We have online calendars, news spotlights, and really different bulletins to look at. So very appreciative of the work that they've done, and the website really, really looks good. So if you haven't been there, please check that out, cityhs.net. Mayor, that completes my report.
Very good. Thank you. At this time, we'll hear any announcements of upcoming events from our board of directors. Any director have an upcoming event? Director Garcia?
Thank you, Mayor. The Hot Springs Police Department is currently taking applications for the Citizens Police Academy. It is an 11-week free course for anyone that's living in Garland County. I highly recommend it for anyone in Garland County. The police department does a great job. The applications are online or at their website, or you can stop by the police department. They are due February 5th, and the class starts 2 weeks after that. I can say I learned so much going through that program. A lot of the volunteers with the police department went through the program, and a lot of people that are in neighborhood watches now. Some of them began and initiated the neighborhood watch in their area after they graduated, and I would highly recommend it to anyone interested. And also, I wanted to announce that later this month, on the Wednesday, the 22nd at 4 p.m., I want everybody to know that you count. Mayor, you count. Each one here counts. You count. All of the Hot Springs counts. And we're having a You Counts meeting at the center at Forest Lakes, 305 Forest Lakes Boulevard, a community meeting regarding the upcoming U.S. census and how important that is to Hot Springs. Our federal funding for so many programs, including our transportation systems, turnback funds, other funds that are critical to our city, and it is dependent on the number of residents that are included in this upcoming count and how we can help with that and how we can make sure we are counted and everyone in our family and how we can help others. So refreshments will start at 4 o'clock, and our Garland County count coordinator is JP3 Esther Dixon, and she will be there. And the census department just reorganized, and we have a new regional director. And I don't know that person's name yet because the person that was going to come has just been reorganized to another position. So I'll have that name at our next meeting. But the new regional director is planning to be there. So I hope that you can come out and look forward to you and bring your neighbor and your friends. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other announcements? Hearing none, we'll move on with the consent agenda. These tend to be items of a routine nature that don't warrant discussion, so we'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Director Weatherford, seconded by Director Garcia. All in favor of the consent agenda as presented, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Consent agenda is adopted. The item within the consent agenda dealt with approving the destruction of records, and anytime there's a destruction of records, an elected official has to be witness to that, and Director Carol Weatherford will be witnessing the destruction of records per city policy and state statute. Moving on to new business, we amended the agenda earlier this evening to include Resolution R2003. We'll begin with that, and I'll ask this council to read resolution by title.
Mayor, this is Resolution R2003, a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a memorandum of understanding between the City of Hot Springs and CHI St. Vincent Hospital, Hot Springs. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would now entertain a motion second to adopt and have discussion, if any.
Motion to adopt.
So moved.
Second.
Director Jones, Director Clark. Staff report.
Mayor, I think Dr. Ross is here, and he can brief the board on exactly what this program is and why the City of Hot Springs needs to enter into this memorandum of understanding in order to facilitate that.
Very good.
Thank you,
Dr.
Mr.
Ross.
Mayor, and thank you for allowing us to be here tonight and get this on the agenda last minute. I'm Dr. Doug Ross. I'm the president at CHI St. Vincent. I've brought along one of our pharmacy leaders, Christy Emerson, in case there's any questions. Basically, this program is a federal program that allows hospitals across the country these hospitals that care for a disproportionately high percentage of either indigent or underinsured or uninsured patients. Hospitals that reach this threshold to be able to have fairly significant cost reductions in the cost of pharmaceuticals and medicines to pay for the care for these patients. To be able to apply and be eligible for this program, we really need to do two things. The hospital every year needs to work with the federal agency that oversees this, the Office of Pharmacy Affairs, to share our financial results to indeed prove that we do fall above this threshold. And then the second item is the memo that's before you today. Not an annual requirement, but just on the very front end of our application, we are basically pledging that we will continue to care for these patients in the future. For 130 years, we have been in this community. The sisters that came before us was a foundation of caring for patients that were poor and vulnerable. As you see in that memo, this past year, we had over $13 million in uncompensated care. That is up from $10 million the year before, and I will tell you that this fiscal year we are at an even higher pace for this fiscal year. So these types of programs are very, very beneficial to help us to continue to care for these patients, again, as we are called to do as part of our ministry. Certainly, this program does not offset all of that cost, but certainly every little bit helps. And we are very excited to move forward with this.
Dr. Ross, the 340B program has been around for a little while. Is there a reason why CHI hadn't participated earlier?
Absolutely. It's a great question. Our facility in Little Rock has been part of it for about 5 or 6 years now. There was obviously our transition from Mercy to CHI several years ago. We were looking at that time, and in the middle of that transition of our ownership, this was, certainly, put on the side for a little while. And then the past several years, as we've gone through healthcare reform, we've been close to that federal threshold, and there's quite a bit of work that needs to be done to this program, and you have to meet that threshold every single year. So we were so close to that threshold, we didn't want to fall back and have done all that work for nothing. But as we are now seeing a trend where we are consistently going to fall above that threshold, we felt it's important to move forward now.
Very good. Thank you. Any other questions of Dr. Ross? Thank you.
Very good.
Since this was a walk-on item to the agenda, is there anyone in the audience that wanted to speak to this topic? Seeing none, any discussion amongst directors?
This is a good program for the community, and I appreciate CHI St. Vincent embarking on it.
Very good. Any other comments? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Director Holliday.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Weatherford.
Aye.
Garcia.
Aye.
Foley.
Aye.
Mayor McCabe.
Aye. Resolution's adopted. This time we'll consider Resolution R20-02, and ask the city attorney to read by title.
Resolution R2002, a resolution awarding a bid to Aqua Aerobic Systems, Inc. for tertiary filter equipment at the Davidson Drive wastewater treatment plant. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would, entertain a motion second to adopt.
Motion to adopt.
So moved.
Director Clark, seconded by
Second.
Director Aaron Holliday. And our staff report will be given by Utilities Director Monty Ledbetter.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, it's a pleasure to be here tonight, and this is an exciting time for us to be able to finally get to this point. Like I said, I think last Tuesday night I mentioned that we've been working on this for quite some time. I started looking at these filters back in 2016, and here we are tonight. So first of all, staff recommends the awarding of the bid that was received December the 9th to Aqua Aerobic Systems in Loveland Park, Illinois for the tertiary filter equipment for the Davison Drive wastewater treatment plant. This award shall be for the total bid price of $1,393,100. To kind of give you a little bit of background and how we got to this point and why we are here tonight to talk about the filters. The need for this filter started years ago when we first started funding the sewer collection system rehab project. When we started funding those projects, we did such a good job of keeping the water in the pipes and the increasing pumping capacity and building pipelines large enough to handle the flow. Now all the water is getting down to the wastewater treatment plant on Davison Drive, and now the burdens come. How do we deal with that? And that's kind of where these filters kick in. Our treatment plant capacity at the Davison plant is about 12 million gallons a day. And as you can imagine, when we get a rain event, sometimes we get large rain events, and that can increase our capacity up to around 50 million gallons a day even. So the problem comes when we get multiple rain events back to back. We can handle a few rains because we can turn it into our EQ basin. Our EQ basin is about 70 million gallons. It can hold about 70 million gallons. And once that gets full, what do we do with it? We have to treat it, before we can release it. So that's kind of where these filters kick in. As you can, I put together a couple of slides for you. This is kind of a cutaway of what the filter looks like on the inside. But what we do is we'll take the water from the EQ basin and we'll be blending it with the sand filter water that's released. That is released together and goes into the UV chamber at that point. But it'll go through this filter first. There's 24 discs inside this filter. These filters are about 10-foot diameter. Each filter that you see in there will treat about 1 million gallons of wastewater in a 24-hour period. As the need arises, the backwash cycles kick on. It's all done by gravity, so this is not a sealed system. So when the water comes in, gravity feeds into this system, and it flows through the media. It's not really media; it's kind of shag carpet's what it looks like on the disc outside of the disc. So it flows through those discs into the center tube that you see there, and then out. So when the backwash cycle kicks on, it starts the rotation of these things, and so it actually cleans and sucks off of the outside as it cleans and as it circles, and it'll do a full rotation and then stop again, and then it'll do that probably once or twice a day as it goes through its cycles. But that water's returned to the headworks of the plant, back to the dewatering facility, where it'll be dewatered and then sent up to the compost facility. So, this is a very good tool for our operators to have. When we're planning this and designing this, we're designing for a second phase of this. We'll be bringing that work to you later on, but as we do the contract for this next phase to get this installed, it'll be plumbed and designed for another filter bank if we so choose to go right beside it. So we're kind of thinking ahead a little bit. So, but this will get us an extra 24 million gallon a day, and we much need that. So, as I said, each disc is treatable. It treats about 1 million gallons for each disc, and these things are designed to last 7 to 10 years without any type of maintenance on them at all. So it's very energy efficient. We get a big bang for our buck here. We treat a lot more wastewater in a smaller space. So this is kind of the future that we're looking at for the wastewater treatment plant on Davison Drive. You have any questions?
Director Garcia?
Thank you, Mayor. On the previous slide, does a cover go over that backwash solids pump?
Great question. Yes, it does. Yes,
Okay.
that will be covered.
Really tell, so.
Yeah, it's not on the slide, but there will be a cover over it.
Okay.
So, yes, ma'am.
And on the PLC, does that also have indicators or anything that's in the main office out there that
Yes,
they get
ma'am.
alerts?
Another great
Okay.
question. This will be hooked up to our SCADA system,
Yes,
so
that's
we'll
what I
be
was-
able to
Right.
we'll be able to monitor this from my house, from wherever our operators are at. But we do have operators here 24/7 at the plant that are monitoring this, and they'll be able to see any alarms. If it goes into a backwash cycle, they can watch that, make sure everything's functioning correctly.
Great.
Very low maintenance, though. So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
all
Any
right.
further questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone
It does
from
such
the
a good
audience
job.
sign up? No. Discussion amongst directors? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Director Jones.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Weatherford.
Aye.
Garcia.
Aye.
Folly.
Aye.
Holiday.
Aye.
Mayor McCabe.
Aye. Resolution's adopted. This time we'll consider ordinance 02001, and before we can move forward, we'd like to have a motion to suspend the rules and read by title only.
So moved, Mayor.
Director Garcia, seconded by
Second.
Director Foley. All in favor of the motion to suspend the rules and read by title only, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Please read the motion.
Mayor, this is ordinance 02001, an ordinance levying a supplemental annual assessment for the Central Business Improvement District Number 3 of the City of Hot Springs, Arkansas for 2020 and for other purposes. That concludes your reading. If you would, entertain a motion second to adopt and have discussion, if any.
Motion to adopt.
So moved. Second.
Director Weatherford, Director Clark. And Mr. Anthony Whittington will provide a staff report.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the board. This is a staff recommendation to approve an ordinance levying a maintenance assessment in 2020 for the Central Business Improvement District Number 3, located in downtown Hot Springs. A little background: this improvement district was formed in 2002 and is comprised of 50 parcels, from the Prospect Avenue heading south to Market Street as the district boundaries. Each year since its inception of the district, the CBID3 has levied a supplemental assessment on real property in the district to assist the city in cost of maintaining the various improvements within the district. In accordance with state law, this supplemental assessment must be approved each year by the governing body of the city, the Board of Directors. This year, they've set the 2020 maintenance assessment at $22,303.77, which corresponds to the approved maintenance budget submitted by the City of Hot Springs. Keep in mind, this is a levy that the district themselves levy, not the city. So this is something that they do themselves with their 50 parcels. With this maintenance budget, it helps Parks and Trails with various landscape materials, with flower beds in that district. It helps us with our hanging basket program in CBID3, as well as some Christmas decorations as well. So, thank you.
Any questions of Mr. Whittington? No. Thank you. No member of the audience has signed up to speak on this. Any discussion amongst directors? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Director Clark.
Aye.
Weatherford.
Aye.
Garcia.
Aye.
Folly.
Aye.
Holliday.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Mayor McCabe.
Aye. Ordinance is adopted. This time we'll consider ordinance 020-02 and would entertain a motion to suspend the rules to read by title only.
So moved.
Moved. Second.
Director Foley, seconded by Director Clark. The city attorney, please read by title.
Ordinance 02002, an ordinance levying a supplemental annual assessment for the Central Crossing municipal property owners, multipurpose.
I didn't have a vote. I didn't get a vote. All in favor of the motion to suspend the rules, read by title, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Now read by title. Thank you.
You threw me off with Clark seconding. So
There you go.
Ordinance 02002, an ordinance levying a supplemental annual assessment for Central Crossing municipal property owners, multipurpose improvement district number 05-1 of the City of Hot Springs for 2020 and for other purposes. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would now entertain a motion second to adopt and have discussion, if any.
Motion to adopt.
So moved.
Director Clark.
Second.
Director Weatherford. And our staff report will be by City Clerk Harmony Morrissey.
Thank you. The item before you is similar to the previous. It's an annual item to levy a supplemental assessment for the property owners in Central Crossing Municipal Property Owners Multipurpose Improvement District. This is a 15.5-acre area that includes Olive Garden and Buffalo Wild Wings. There are 4 parcels within the district, which was formed in 2015 to bring improvements such as sewer, roads, buried utilities, etc. The supplemental assessment is a little over $5,000 and has been approved by the property owners within the district. Arkansas law requires the governing body, which is the Board of Directors, to approve the levy on the supplemental assessment. If approved, it will then be sent to the Garland County Assessor to include for collections in 2020 on real property. Again, this is not a tax by the city. It's a voluntary assessment by the property owners on their properties within the improvement district.
Very good. Anyone sign up to speak on this from the audience? No? Any discussion amongst directors? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Director Weatherford.
Aye.
Garcia.
Aye.
Folly.
Aye.
Holliday.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Mayor McCabe.
Aye. Ordinance is adopted. This time we'll consider ordinance 020-03. Well, we got a 03, which is what we had at the beginning with the,
That was a resolution.
That was a resolution.
oh, that was a resolution. Okay, thank you. Resolution 0-2003. And we'll entertain a motion to suspend the rules and read by title only.
So moved.
Director Foley. Second. Seconded by Director Weatherford. All in favor of the motion to suspend the rules and read by title only, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Council, please read by title.
Ordinance 02003, an ordinance approving the rezoning of 200 Normandy Street from R3 to CTR, changing the future land use plan map designation from residential medium high to office center, and for other purposes. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would entertain a motion second to adopt and have discussion, if any.
Motion to adopt.
So moved.
Second.
Director Jones, seconded by Director Weatherford, and staff report will be provided by Kathy Selman, Planning and Development Director. Welcome.
Thank you. The applicant and property owner is Matthew Jackson. He's seeking approval for a change of zoning from R3, low-density residential, to CTR, commercial transitional. This is located in Board of Directors District Number 5. It's approximately 0.98 acres in size. Within the project narrative, the applicant states that the property is currently zoned residential and has commercial zone property on 3 sides. He is planning to relocate his existing business to this parcel. The property has an existing wet weather stream that divides the north 20% of the usable land, and he is planning to preserve that as a green area. And he also states that he is planning to leave as many of the existing trees as possible, adding additional landscaping to augment the existing natural growth in the natural setting. The applicant's submittal complies with Hot Springs Code Section 16.2.11 requirements for amending the zoning map. He has demonstrated compatibility with surrounding development and zoning. This is consistent with the objectives of the future land use plan if the designation is amended to office center. At their duly advertised regular meeting on December 12, 2019, after calling for testimony and considering the application, Planning Commission voted 8-0 to recommend board approval of the request.
Very good. Any questions of Director Selman? Thank you. Anyone from the audience that wanted to speak on this issue, either for or against? Hearing none, then we'll move to discussion amongst directors. Any discussion amongst directors? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Director Garcia.
Aye.
Foley.
Aye.
Holliday.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Weatherford.
Aye.
Mayor McCabe.
Aye. Ordinance is adopted. Our final action item of the evening is to consider ordinance 020-04. I'll entertain a motion to suspend the rules and read by title only.
So moved.
Second.
Director Weatherford, Director Garcia, all in favor of the motion to suspend the rules and read by title only signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Both same sign. Motion is approved. Council, please read by title.
Ordinance 02004, an ordinance approving the rezoning of 701 Park Avenue from CTR, commercial transition, to C1 Central Business District, changing the future use plan map designation from neighborhood commercial center to linear commercial corridor, and for other purposes. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would, please entertain a motion second to adopt and have discussion, if any.
Motion to adopt.
So moved.
Director Garcia.
Second.
Director Weatherford. Staff report will be provided by Kathy Selman, Planning and Development Director.
Thank you. The applicant on this item is Mr. Martin Isley. He's representing property owner AccuPoint Enterprises, LLC, and he is seeking a zone change consideration from CTR, Commercial Transitional District, to C1 Central Business District for the subject property. That property is located at 701 Park Avenue at the intersection of Park Avenue and Holly Street. It has a future land use map designation of Neighborhood Commercial Center and is located in Board of Directors District Number 1. The property is improved with an approximately 1,700 square foot service station structure, a gas pump canopy, and some paving. The site was developed approximately 1930 and has been used for a variety of automotive uses over the years. The owner has begun renovations to the building to address deferred maintenance issues. The application narrative submitted by the owner states in part, I purchased 701 Park Avenue last year with the intention of remodeling the interior of the building and re-landscaping the parking lot with the goal of renting it to a business that will help beautify Park Avenue and bring more people to the area. I am hopeful that a restaurant, deli, will be interested in that location. The narrative also states in part that Mr. Isley was born and raised in the area and he wants to maintain a connection to Park Avenue. Redevelopment of this property is challenging. This is a historic property. Many of the challenges involved are concern off-street parking requirements due to the small size of the parcel. It's about a little more than 12,000 square feet, and the limited area for vehicles to park. The city's C1 Central Business District zone is the only zone in the city that does not require off-street parking, and this is primarily due to historic structures that occupy most, if not all, of the footprint of the lots upon which they're located, and the resulting practical difficulty of off-street parking requirements for development in the downtown area. The City of Hot Springs C1 district requirements exist primarily in the heart of downtown. It's an area that is heavily saturated with historic properties. It also extends up Park Avenue to Holly Street, directly across from the subject property. An extension of the C1 zone district further up Park Avenue appears logical and could facilitate additional rehabilitation and reuse of historic properties along Park Avenue, which would be beneficial to the city. Should the subject fully developed property be rezoned to C1 Central Business District, it is unlikely that the change would result in a negative impact to the area. The submission requirements for zone change have been met. The request demonstrates compatibility with surrounding development and zoning and responds to a significant community priority throughout Envision Hot Springs public meetings for redevelopment and reuse of historic structures in our older neighborhoods. Once rezoned, if you approve this, to C1, the subject property would be allowed a broad range of commercial and conditional use possibilities without the barrier of off-street parking, such as is afforded to other C1 historic properties in the downtown area. At their duly advertised regular meeting, December 12, 2019, after calling for testimony and considering the application, Planning Commission voted 8-0 to recommend board approval of this application.
Any questions of Ms. Selman? Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone from the audience wish to speak on this? Sir, come forward and state your name, address, and what district you're in.
My name is Martin Isley Jr. I'm the applicant, and she said basically everything I was going to say, and I'm here to entertain any questions should you have some.
Very good. Any questions of Mr. Isley? Thank you.
Okay.
Anyone else like to come speak on this issue? Thank you. Any discussion amongst directors? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Director Foley.
Aye.
Holliday. Aye. Jones.
Aye.
Clark. Aye. Weatherford.
Aye.
Garcia.
Aye.
Mayor McCabe.
Aye. Ordinance is adopted. This concludes the action items for tonight's meeting. Now we'll enter into Board of Directors items for discussion. Any board member have an item you'd like to discuss? Bring up? Director Foley.
I would just like to welcome Kevin to your new spot. I noticed that Bill assigned the departments for lifting that water tower up. I gave it to you. So.
Nice move.
That was a smooth move. Smooth move, Bill.
It's not my first rodeo.
Yeah. Any other director with an item for
Meaningful
discussion?
comment.
Okay, well, this concludes our first meeting of 2020. And as we concluded 2019, we'll begin with 2020. Director Jones.
Happy New Year, Mayor. You forgot to tell us. Anyway, I move that we adjourn for the night.
We need a second to that.
Second.
We have a second. All
Thank
in
you.
favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We are adjourned.
That'll be the quote.